welcome to this new video series where we're going to be discussing how to get your students motivated to listen and to learn. And before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about my experience as teaching. You know, when I think back on my first year, I think of how excited I was at the start of the year. You see, I'd always wanted to be a teacher, and I had just put so many of my dreams and ambitions, and I was so excited about teaching. But I have to tell you, a month or two in, those dreams were not so exciting anymore. Things just weren't going as well as I had hoped. And I remember people coming to me and asking me, "How's your year going? Are you enjoying it?" And I remember saying something like, "Yeah, it's going well, and I like it." And to be honest, I was pretty much lying. I wasn't just lying to them, I was lying to myself. I was trying to tell myself that I liked it because I had worked so long for this. I had dreamed about it. I had longed for the day I'd have my own classroom. I had spent so much time preparing. I really wanted to be enjoying teaching, but in reality, I was dreading it. Yes, I was dreading it. I was dreading that first period class. I remember standing in front of there and just thinking, is anyone even listening to me? I mean, I'd look out, it'd be time to go over homework, and half the kids wouldn't even have it done. You know, there'd be, 10 kids that were talking, 5 that looked bored out of their mind, and I'd ask a question and all I'd hear was crickets. Actually, I would wish that I could hear crickets. Instead, I was hearing a bunch of kids talking and not listening to me. And I was just so frustrated with this. I knew that I had made some mistakes, but I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to get my class back under control and how to get these kids to listen. You know, I really think maybe the low point for me that year was just this one morning when I was just beyond frustrated. I didn't know what to do to fix these problems. And I just was searching for answers. And I was so frustrated that day that I was supposed to be monitoring my class for morning devotions, but I couldn't even go. I went and found a back hallway where no one would find me, and I just sat on the floor and bawled like a baby, like seriously for I don't even remember how long. I was just crying, and I just because I was just overwhelmed. I just didn't know what to do. And I was just, like I said, dreading walking into that class and just feeling like I just wish I knew how to fix these problems. And there's some of you out there right now that are feeling just like I did. You feel overwhelmed. You feel like, how am I going to get these kids to listen? Nothing's working. You don't know how to motivate that kid who just wants to sit there and do nothing. You feel like you're just beyond frustrated with all this chatter and the blurting and the disruptions. And maybe you feel like I did. Maybe you're dreading teaching as much as you don't want to be dreading it. If you're being honest, you are. And I have to tell you, there is hope. And I hope that this video series will be a big help to you. You can learn how to control your class. You can get those kids to listen and motivate them to learn. You can end the disruptions and the chatter and the blurting. It won't happen overnight. There's no magic answer. There's no one-size-fits-all solutions. But there are important principles and strategies that will work, that when you adapt them to your classroom, they will help you transform your out-of-control classroom into a nice, pleasant working environment where your students can listen and learn. There's others of you out there who maybe you're not that desperate. Maybe you used to be there, or maybe you've never hit quite that big of a low point, but you still just have some areas of your classroom that just aren't running as well as you wish they would. And I hope this video series will help you as well. So back to my story. What happened to me? Well, when I was just so desperate, I went to one of my advisory teachers, my mentor teacher, and just asked her, what should I do? I was particularly really struggling with the start of class. That bell would ring, and like I said, it would be as if I wasn't even there. I might as well have been invisible. Just everything, the chaos continued. And I didn't know how to get that back under control. And so what she suggested to me was that as soon as the bell rang, I would just walk to the board and start writing down the names of anyone that I saw talking when they weren't supposed to be. And she said that eventually the students would probably notice what I was doing and kind of start asking, what are you doing? and that I was to say, well, these were all the students that were being disruptive after the bell, and you all received a warning, so if this happens again, there'll be a consequence. All right, I said, I think I can do that. So I tried it, and I was really amazed at how quickly that got their attention. Just seeing their name on the board really gave them that personal responsibility. I think for kids, especially when your whole class is acting up, we know it's not the whole class, but a lot of the class is messing up. The kids individually just start to think it's like this herd mentality, like everyone else is doing it, I can do it too. There's like no consequences, no responsibility. And just seeing their name there really helped it to be individual responsibility. And over time, I kind of took this idea and I developed it into a warning system, where what I would do was, anytime during the period, if someone was being disruptive or talking not during the wrong times, I would just write their name on a part of the board. And I explained to them all that if they were talking 3 times, or if they got 3 warnings within the same class period, that then there would be a bigger consequence. Or actually, that's the first consequence. Really, there was no consequence if I just put their name on the board. That was purely a warning. They weren't in trouble at all. But if I had to put 2 more marks by their name, so 3 warnings in a 40-minute class period, then there was a consequence. And it would really depend on your school, on your situation, what would be appropriate. It could be a discipline essay, a detention, time off of recess, like I said, whatever is appropriate for your grade level and your school. But what I really love this system, I did not really like writing names on the board because I taught middle school, and that felt a little juvenile to me, but it just worked so well that it made it beyond worth it. And I just explained to them, I'm really not trying to treat you like little kids, but this is just a quick way that I can give you a warning without stopping class. And the reason I liked the system so much was 2 reasons. Number 1, it really worked. When the kids started seeing their name up there, they would straighten up. They would, like I said, realize that they were individually responsible. And the second thing that I really loved is I hardly ever actually had to give out a consequence. Very rarely did someone get 3 warnings within a class period. I mean, that you'd really have to be not heeding any of the warnings. And so by the time someone got there, they really did deserve some type of consequence. But that rarely happened. I mean, in a whole year, maybe 5 to 10 times. So it really was nice to be able to give a warning and deal with problems while they're small, but without really having to give any consequences hardly out to the kids. So maybe you're thinking that this would work for you, but you don't like the idea of writing names. Some people feel like that's too, like that's showing, they don't like doing that in front of the whole class. They feel like it might be humiliating. Like, I really wasn't worried about that. I think that kids are fine with that. They didn't like seeing their name up there, and there was actually a great detraction. And so I didn't really have any problem with that. But if you don't like that, there are other ways to do the same thing. What you want to do is come up with a system that somehow, number 1, gives individual warnings without a punishment yet. Okay, so find a way to give an individual warning without, number 2, disrupting your flow of teaching. So you need to be able to give a warning without stopping what you're saying. So in other words, I could go right now and write on the board without stopping what I'm saying. So that's a good way. And another thing you could do, you could have like a Post-it note or a sticker or something where you just walk to someone's desk and put it on their desk, and they know that's a warning. Some people use Class Dojo. You can look that up online, and that's a system where on your computer you can give individual students warnings, or you can also tell them that they're doing a great job. So there's all kinds of ways you can get a little more creative with it if you don't like the idea of putting things on the board. I have to tell you, this system did not necessarily transform everything overnight, but it made a huge, huge difference. And I have to tell you, if you're going to start this system, you might get some arguments from the students. I just want to encourage you, though, to just put the responsibility back on them, okay? And also, just tell them it's just a warning. I would have kids that would be like, but so-and-so was talking too. And say, you're not in trouble. It's just a warning. You were talking, so if you're talking, you're going to get your name on the board. But I was just asking for a pencil. Well, this wasn't the time to ask, so you have a warning. Just try to respond quickly and just move on. And don't let them stress about the names. Try to explain that this is just a warning. You're not in trouble. And I would say those words all the time. You're not in trouble. This is just a warning, to kind of help them realize, like I said, you don't need to argue with me. You're not in trouble, but you will be if you keep causing disruptions. So use that if you need to talk to students about that. So one last thing, like I was saying, this made a huge difference, but it's not necessarily going to be an overnight success this year, because if you're in the middle of the year, it's really hard to change. The students are already used to a certain form of behavior, and so it's like you're really working an uphill battle to fix it. But I really want to encourage you, don't give up. This will make a big difference, and you'll slowly start to see some success. You'll see things turn around. And I actually think you'll see a good change right away. It just won't get all the way back to where you want it to be until next year. And that's where the big success can come. If you use this year to perfect a system like this, to learn what works in your classroom, to build up your confidence, and then next school year, you start the school year right, with the confidence that you need, with a system in place like this one, you're going to be amazed how smoothly things go then. So start implementing these things. You'll see improvements. You'll see it get better. Then, like I said, when that next year comes is when you'll really, really see the payoff if you put in the work. You can do it. I'm telling you. You might be thinking, will this work for me? You can do it. Start with this system. Start with coming up with some type of warning system. But don't stop there. I've got lots more ideas for you. The next video in particular, we're going to talk about 4 specific strategies that you can use to cut out disruptions, as well as a secret weapon that will really make a huge difference in your classroom. So definitely be watching your email for that next video. Speaking of videos, if you've liked this one, feel free to share it with your friends and show them, and share this video with them so that they can learn a little bit about this too. And if you're watching this video right now and you didn't receive it from an email, you got it from a friend, feel free underneath, you want to sign up for the update so that you'll get the next videos that are going to be coming out shortly. Before we go, I would love to hear from you, so please take a moment and just comment right below this video and let me know what your biggest challenge is right now in your classroom. I'd love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.